insert back AOC. It doesn't help. I think the Bucks are a really, really good team this season. They were a really good team last season. They lose again. We now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 losses in a row for the Las Vegas Raiders. Mark Davis at this point is questioning, man, I should have fired AP 5 weeks ago. He didn't. Should have, but he didn't. Take us to week 15. Kirk Cousins comes into town, comes into Vegas to take on AOC. At this point, guys, the Raiders are a bad team. They are trying to lose games at this particular point. They want that first overall pick. They want Shedeur Sanders. They want, they're looking for a quarterback first overall pick. And the Falcons help them. Falcons beat them. Falcons go to Vegas, beat down the Raiders, and they're just a bad, bad team. Raiders are a bad team. Week 16, back at home. $245 million contract man himself, Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars coming to town. AOC gets benched again. Insert Garner Minshew come week 16. I don't know why they're doing this at this point. Maybe they'll see what they got in Garner Minshew a little bit. But I think Garner Minshew will play this game versus his former team, right? And they get the win. Finally, the 9-game losing streak for the Las Vegas Raiders has been snapped. When the Jacksonville Jaguars come into town, Garner Minshew beats them down 28-7. Trevor Lawrence, we're talking about how overrated and how big of a bust he is after this game. $245 million, $145 million guaranteed money, wasted. Because you lose to the Raiders. Week 17. Travel to New Orleans. In beautiful New Orleans, Louisiana. I might try to make this game. I love me some NO. Saints versus Raiders at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. This game I was going back and forth on. Going back and forth on. I don't know. Derek Carr versus his former team. Is Derek Carr even playing at this point? Are the Saints a good team at this point? We don't really know. One thing I do know is that the Saints get this win. The Saints get this win, and the Raiders are still buying for that number 1 overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. 2025 NFL Draft, Raiders get an overall pick. Come week 18. They have not beaten the Chargers yet this season. Swept by the Chiefs. Split with the Broncos. And guess what? They get swept by the Chargers as well. The Raiders are just a bad team. They don't have a quarterback. They don't have a decent running game. Their only part of their defense is overpaid in Christian Wilkins. Max Crosby will be pretty much, he'll do his thing, right? He'll get those dollar bills, yo. But I think the Raiders go 4-13 this season. I think the Raiders are a really, really bad team, guys. Earlier, first 6 weeks of the season, we're thinking, hey, win over Carolina, win over the Cleveland Browns, really good win. Win over the Broncos, of course, right? But to be honest, the Raiders really do not have a favorable schedule. Look at this stretch right here after week 6. Steelers, Rams, Chiefs, Bengals, Dolphins, Broncos, Chiefs, Bucks. That is a tough stretch for any team. You have the Steelers at home, on the road versus the Rams, Chiefs at home, at Cincinnati, at Miami, Broncos at home, at Chiefs, at Bucks. That is a tough stretch. If, by some stretch of the imagination, guys, they can win a game in this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 game stretch between the Steelers and the Falcons. If they can win 2 games in that stretch, I think they can beat the Falcons, Jags, Saints, and Chargers to end the season. If they win 2 games in that stretch of games there between the Steelers and the Falcons, for the Steelers and the Bucks, they win 2 of those 8 games there. I think at that point, you are looking at a 6, 7, 8, 9 win team. If they can beat the Broncos and let's say the Rams in that stretch, right? And they play decent versus the Chiefs and the Bengals and the Dolphins and the Bucks, they could potentially be an 8, 9 win team. Potentially. But I do not see it, unfortunately, for the Raiders this season. I think the Raiders are a bad team, and it's going to reflect on them all season